Our journey begins in the ancient world, thousands of years before Christianity, long before Islam, even before Israel became a nation. God was forming a people for himself, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and as he shaped them into a nation, God gave them commandments that would make them utterly unique among the peoples of the earth. Among those commands were the dietary laws, which appear in detail in the book of Leviticus. Leviticus chapter 11 verses 7 to 8, "The pig is unclean for you. You must not eat their meat or touch their carcasses." Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 8, "The pig is unclean. You shall not eat its flesh." To us today, this may feel surprising, even strange. Why would God care about what animals his people ate? To understand this, we must look at the purpose of these laws. Reason number 1, holiness, a nation set apart. Before Israel could enter the promised land, God gave them a calling. Exodus chapter 19 verse 6, "You shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." The Hebrew word for holy is kadosh, which means set apart, different, distinct. The nations around Israel, Canaanites, Egyptians, Babylonians, worshipped idols, practiced sorcery, sacrificed children, and ate animals God declared unclean. God's laws were designed to draw a clear line between his people and the nations around them. Diet wasn't just diet, it was identity, it was holiness, it was loyalty to God. By refusing certain foods, Israel learned to obey, even when they didn't understand why. Reason number 2, identity, a mark of covenant faithfulness. In the ancient Near East, meals were powerful symbols of culture and religion. Pagans feasted on animals used in idol worship. Pigs especially were associated with pagan sacrifices, impurity rituals, and unclean temples. So when God banned pork, he wasn't just giving a health rule, he was giving a boundary marker that separated Israel from pagan nations. To eat differently was to live differently. To avoid pork was to carry a visible sign of belonging to Yahweh. This is why, for centuries, Jewish communities saw pork avoidance as a badge of covenant loyalty, even when persecuted for it. Reason number 3, health and environment, wisdom for the wilderness. In the heat of the Middle Eastern deserts, certain foods carried greater risk. Pigs eat everything, including waste, carry parasites, spoil quickly in hot climates, were difficult to preserve without modern tools. In a world without refrigeration, pork was often connected with disease, infection, and ritual impurity, not only spiritually, but also physically. Even today, medical experts acknowledge that the Mosaic laws carried remarkable wisdom for their time. But something deeper was happening. Not eating pork wasn't merely a matter of health or culture, it became a powerful symbol, a daily reminder. I belong to God. I walk a different path. My life is set apart. Every meal reinforced the covenant. For Jews, these laws shaped their daily habits, their identity, their community, and their relationship with God. To obey the food laws was to walk in holiness. To break them was to cross a sacred boundary. This is why pork became far more than just an animal. It became a spiritual line, a visible test of faithfulness. For Israel, avoiding pork was obedience. It was purity, it was covenant, and for more than 3,000 years, that identity has endured. Now let's explore why Muslims forbid pork. Islam emerges in the 7th century AD, more than 600 years after Jesus and nearly 2,000 years after Moses. By this time, Jewish dietary laws were already well established, and when the Quran was revealed, it affirmed many of the Torah's foundational teachings, including the prohibition against pork. The Quran addresses the subject multiple times, each with remarkable clarity. Quran, chapter 2, verse 173, "He has forbidden to you the flesh of swine." Quran, chapter 6, verse 145, "It is impure, the flesh of swine is forbidden." Islam does not present this as a symbolic law, or a cultural practice, or an optional guideline. The prohibition is direct, absolute, and universally binding for all Muslims. Unlike Judaism, where dietary laws were tied to the covenant with Israel, Islam teaches that these commands apply to all believers, everywhere for all generations. Why does Islam forbid pork? To understand why, we must look at Islamic theology. Reason number 1, submission to God's command. The very word Islam means submission. To obey God, even when the reason is not fully explained, is considered an act of worship. So when the Quran says, "Do not eat," the Muslim believer responds, "We hear and we obey." Avoiding pork becomes a sign of submission to Allah's will. Reason number 2, purity and cleanliness. Islam places strong emphasis on ritual purity. Pork is considered najis, ritually impure, unfit for consumption, spiritually contaminating. This concept is part of Tahara, the Islamic system of purity that governs not only food, but prayer, cleansing, and daily life. Reason number 3, continuity with earlier scriptures. Muslims believe that Islam is not a new religion, but a continuation and completion of Abraham's faith. Therefore, the Quran reaffirms many laws found in the Torah, the Psalm, Zabur, the Gospel, Injil. Since the Torah forbade pork, Islam upholds the same standard as part of the shared moral and dietary tradition. Reason number 4, a test of discipline and obedience. In Islamic teaching, certain commands serve as tests of the heart. Even if one does not understand why God forbids something, obedience demonstrates discipline, self-control, dedication, and reverence for God. Thus, avoiding pork becomes a spiritual practice, not merely a dietary choice. Reason number 5, health and hygiene considerations. Though not the primary reason, Islamic scholars often point out that the Quran's dietary restrictions carry practical wisdom. Historically, pork has been associated with parasites, contamination, and spoilage in hot climates. Muslims view God's commands as both spiritually protective and physically beneficial. Just as avoiding pork became a symbol of identity for ancient Israel, it also became an identity marker in the Islamic world. Across 1,400 years and over 50 Muslim-majority nations, the command remains unchanged, whether in Mecca, Cairo, Jakarta, Istanbul, or West Africa. Muslims honor this dietary law with remarkable consistency. To eat pork is considered a major religious violation, one that breaks purity, obedience, and spiritual discipline. So both Jews and Muslims follow a divine command not to eat pork. But Christianity takes a completely different path. What changed? Why do Christians, who also read the Old Testament, eat pork freely? To answer that, we must look at Jesus himself and the transformation he brought to the understanding of purity, law, and holiness. What exactly did Jesus teach about food laws? Did he abolish them? Did he keep them? Or did he introduce something far deeper, something that would change the spiritual landscape forever? Let's begin with something many Christians forget. Jesus was a Jew. He lived under the law of Moses. He kept the dietary laws faithfully. He never ate pork. His disciples never ate pork during his earthly ministry. He honored every command God gave to Israel. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. I did not come to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. Fulfill, not erase. So how do we explain his teaching in Mark 7? The Pharisees, the religious leaders, accused Jesus' disciples of eating without performing the ritual hand-washing required by their traditions. Important detail, this wasn't about hygiene, it wasn't about cleanliness. It was about ritual purity laws invented by men, not commanded by God. Jesus responds with a stunning statement. Mark chapter 7, verses 18 to 19. Nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them. In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. This sentence has caused debates for centuries. Did Jesus just overturn Leviticus? Was he abolishing Moses' food laws? To understand his meaning, we must read his full explanation. Mark chapter 7, verses 20 to 23. What comes out of a person is what defiles them. For from within, out of the heart, come evil thoughts. Jesus is moving the discussion from external rules to internal righteousness. He is teaching, holiness is not what you put into your mouth. Holiness is what flows out of your heart. Defilement is a spiritual condition, not a dietary condition. This was revolutionary. The Pharisees believed sin came from touching the wrong thing, eating the wrong food, breaking the wrong ritual. Jesus flips the entire system. True defilement doesn't begin in the stomach.